the thing that I'll just echo, maybe to bring it back into the more pragmatic with what I do, is
Hmm.
I continue to be astounded by how a change in someone's inner world creates such significant impact in their outer world.
Yeah.
And we're taught or unintentionally learned through culture and experiences that things on the outer world need to change in order for us to experience something different in our inner
Yeah.
world. You mentioned, give me a cup of love. Well, if you like, if I want to experience more love, I need these things out here to change. And as a
Yeah.
coach, the work I do with engineers is not just strategies for career growth, but a lot of times recognizing how this inner world needs to shift in congruence with what you're saying you want, which begins with this being. And I
Absolutely.
think you're so spot on that, like, the more you look at this question about hard science and the mind and this idea of the soft pieces of our heart, our soul, these emotional qualities of our life that are more difficult to measure, the more I look at the two, the more inextricably linked they seem to become. So my question for you next then is, where does the body fit into this? So we talk
Mm.
a lot about the mind and body connection.
Yeah.
How do you think about its role in what you just described a moment ago?
I see it like a chain, like I said, there's a higher mind that's really for us to really develop like philosophies and analyze the world and come up with models how to predict things. It's not the lower mind where we kind of complain and criticize and judge, you know. So there's a higher mind, a lower mind. There's a higher heart or a higher emotional domain and a lower emotional domain. So a higher emotional
Mm,
domain would be like love and enthusiasm and compassion, right? Lower would be more like jealousy, anger, greed, and pride and fear and shame and things like that. And then you have a level lower, and not meaning like better or worse, but the body would be even a more denser layer of that chain, right? And the body would be almost like the deepest part of the subconscious mind, if you want to call it that, right?
yes. Okay.
So, and that's where most of the stuff gets stored too that we don't want to have in our mind and in our heart. So it gets pushed down, and some people have then physical complaints or illnesses and things like that, which they call psychosomatic in psychology. So the body is kind of like the outer layer of the inner world, like Gary said, and that
Okay.
body is in a way kind of neutral. You know, it's not good or bad. It's like money. It's not good or bad. It's kind of like how you are being with it, right? And how, what you're thinking about it, and how you're feeding it, and how you're nurturing it. It can be like a storage for everything that we think about and feel. That's how I see it, and that's how I work with people too. Is I focus on their sensations in their body, focus on their feelings in their heart, and focus on their thoughts in their mind, right? And then you have a higher domain even, which is spiritual. They call spiritual, which transcends all the parts and pieces and the relationships between parts and pieces, but is a place of union and unification and transcendence, right? So this would be the whole chain of being, like in Tiller physics, for example, that I already described a little bit in the
Hmm.
beginning. There, he would have a model like that, and in psychology, it's very similar.
I love that. And what you're saying, it triggers some work that I've been going through lately. I'm digging into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and this idea of the nervous system and the body as a deep part of the subconscious mind has really opened a lot of insight and wisdom around how important that work is in really addressing what's going on in our
Mhm.
subconscious and how that then manifests through the body. It's really powerful, the work that his team is doing.